Well, hello again, everybody, and God bless. This is Jonathan Reichel, and welcome to this week's episode of Real with God. For those of you that have commented on the last week's video, the one about nature and getting outside and spending time with God, I will be extending that deadline to the end of today, Sunday, at midnight East Coast time. And any of you guys that have finished the comment, I have been outside, spent some time with God, and 1 hour, comfortable. Will receive the special video, and those of you, I noticed that some of you guys had already commented on last week's video, and yours is on the way. A very special little treat, just as a little reward for the fun of getting outside and spending some good time with God. And by the way, we will be having fellowship today at 7 p.m. East U.S. Coast time, and next week we will officially, finally and completely be changing the time to 3 p.m. So next week it'll be 3 p.m. This week, today, Sunday, will be 7 p.m. So the Skype fellowship will be 7 p.m. today, and next week and every week after that will be 3 p.m. because I think that'll work better with a bunch of our friends overseas and here in the U.S. as well. So here's an interesting opener. I was watching Whose Line Is It Anyway this week. For those of you who don't know Whose Line Is It Anyway, it's an improv show, a comedy, humorous improv show where a bunch of contestants or a bunch of actors get out there, and they're given various categories or various kinds of information that they need to work into a skit or work into some kind of off the top of their head comedic presentation. And it always brings me so much joy. Sometimes it gets a little risque, but so much of the jokes and so much of what they do with their ability and with their talents just makes me laugh. Genuinely, just kind of just deep-hearted kind of laughter. And in movies sometimes you might get a chuckle here, kind of an corny there, but something about that show just really blesses me, and I just think it's really, really funny. And I was thinking about what exactly is it that makes it funny? What is it that charms me so? And I think it's not necessarily the content, because I mean that same kind of content has been used before. It's not necessarily the actors themselves. I mean, there are lots of funny actors out there. But what I love about the show is that it's live, it's improvised, it's fresh, and it's kind of a living, breathing presentation, and that it changes and it morphs as it goes. And one thing that I absolutely love about it is the concept of improvisation. The concept of that not everything is written down, not everything is completely set in stone, and that it's living, it's life, it's breathing, it's changing, it's adjusting. And I thought about the characters of the Bible that live that way. The characters of the Bible and the characters that we read of that didn't wait for everything to be written down. They didn't wait for everything to be perfectly laid out. They just simply lived. They improvised. They received suggestions from God, just like the Whose Line people received suggestions from the audience, and they worked with it and they lived with it. And you could see the results when they implemented those things that God suggested in their lives. They were blessed and they were encouraged, and they experienced joy. They experienced success in their lives. And this next week, I would love to consider the concept of improvisation, of as God gives us things to do, be willing to change things, be willing to adjust things in our lifestyle and in our mentalities to best fit the needs of what God wants for us, and to not try to pre-plan our lives way too much, to not try to give us an 80-year goal. But just simply say, all right, my goal in life is to serve God with all of my heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love my neighbor as myself. And with that as the core structure of the show of our lives, let God be the one that suggests things. Let God be the one that provides us inspiration as we improvise our way through life, and as we make adjustments and as we make changes to best suit God and to best suit what God wants for us to do at that point in time, day by day by day. And let's not get way too hung up in rituals. Let's not get way too stuck on what we thought we were going to be doing today, but be willing to change and adjust. And if you see that guy on the side of the road that whose car is busted, and if you have jumper cables in the trunk, stop by and improvise and help people out. If an opportunity presents itself to help somebody in the fellowship, break out of the schedule. Take that material, take that information, and blend it into an ever-changing, ever-adjusting life experience. Let's change things up. Let's mix things up, and let's be willing to improvise as God provides us new information or new opportunities and things to do. So that's something to think about this week. A little reminder again, today, Sunday, we will be having fellowship at 7 p.m., and this will be the last time that we fellowship at 7 p.m. I'm officially going to be switching it over next week to 3 p.m. so we can best accommodate and best enjoy the company of our international friends who would otherwise be chatting with us at like 4 a.m. or something bizarre their time. So again, this week 7 p.m. Next week it will be 3 p.m. and thereafter. So to recap, how can we best improvise? How can we best open up our lives and our schedules to really be willing to make adjustments as God suggests things in our lives? How can we do that? I would love to get your input. And again, I will be accepting final comments on this past week's video about nature right up until midnight tonight. So if you guys have been procrastinating, you guys still have a couple more hours to take care of that and to also receive the enjoyable video surprise that is to come. So for this week, this is Jonathan Reichel with the Real with God episode. How can we improvise this next week to do what God wants in our life? I love you guys very much, and I look forward to seeing many of you online at 7 p.m. God bless. Love you guys. Bye-bye.